Hello, and welcome to Junior Achievement in Saskatchewan. My name is Elizabeth Stromp, and I'm going to be your host today. What we're going to be doing throughout the presentation is I'm going to be going through a series of slides and videos, and we're going to be chatting. And at different times, I'm going to be asking your teacher to pause the video and give you time to do some exercises and reflect. And then you can start up the video from where you left off and we'll continue on. So let's get started. First of all, let me introduce Junior Achievement in Saskatchewan. We're a not-for-profit organization. We offer innovative programs that stimulate and inspire elementary, middle, and high school students to value free enterprise, understand business and economics, and develop entrepreneurial and leadership skills. So our programs focus on three key areas: financial literacy, workplace readiness, and entrepreneurship. So today we're going to be talking a lot about entrepreneurship. The program we're working with today is Our Business World. And so each of you should have a booklet in front of you, and that booklet will be for you to keep. You can put your name on the front and fill in the, when we go through on the different exercises, you can fill that in. Probably best to use a pencil so you can erase some of your answers if you want, but either one will be fine. And just to give you a little bit of background about myself, my background before coming to help out with Junior Achievement, I worked for the federal government, and I was a manager in the area of film and video tax credits production. So mainly what I would do is I would help different producers or owners of production companies who made videos for television and film. And I would help them figure out their financing and how the government could assist them. And there was a lot of things those businesses needed to have put together. And we would kind of lead them through that and guide them in order for them to qualify for our funding. And so I learned a lot about businesses, especially in that sector in the Canadian landscape. But I'm hoping that I can transfer some of what I learned to our talk today. And also, as a young person, I had tried to start different businesses as well, which I'll probably speak to when we get going here. So Our Business World, we're going to learn why businesses are created and how they change. We're going to explore where customers come from and how to keep them. We're going to discuss how businesses contribute to the well-being of a community and recognize that businesses can impact the environment in both positive and negative ways. We'll learn a little bit about the history of some Canadian businesses and how they've changed over time. We'll understand the importance of innovation and also what makes an entrepreneur innovative. So let's get started. Our first section is, what is a business? And for some of you, this might seem like an obvious answer. Well, it's a place I go to that I buy things from, or I pay money for a service. And that is very true. However, there are some very important elements that are necessary in order for a business to actually even start and also for them to thrive. So to start things off, I think what we'll do first is we're going to watch a video, and that video is going to show us an idea that Philip the Phone has for his first business.
Hey there, I'm Philip the Phone. I've been thinking a lot between the differences of being self-employed compared to being an employee. Have you guys ever wondered about starting your own business? Because that's what I've been thinking of doing. If I want to start a business, first I'm going to need an idea. Then I will need to find out if there is a need for this business idea. I've been trying to think of a way to blend my love of creating fruit juices and getting outside with my friends. Often when I visit this park, I notice that it attracts a lot of people doing outdoor activities, many of which very physically demanding. I wonder how I can use this location to serve the people in the park and sell my business idea. I got it! This would be a great place to have a juice stand. Welcome to Philip's Juice Stand. So, what do you think my next steps are for having a business?
So, what is the business need? And that's our next section. And when you watch that video, what was the first thing that Philip thought of? That's right. He had an idea. He's like, this seems like a good place for a juice stand. I'd like to get a juice stand here. But that means that you have an idea, but you also, as Philip illustrated, you have to have opportunity. In other words, was there another juice stand there? Was that a good location? Was there was there a need for your business? Is your business going to serve a need? There's an opportunity. People are jogging in the park. The idea is a juice box, and it's going to serve a need. So that's kind of the first thing that we need to talk about here is the business must serve a need. So if you can, turn to page 2 of your booklets. And you're going to see at the top of page 2, there is sort of a square with 2 different scenarios. And I'm just going to go through the first scenario here with you, and I'll ask your teacher to pause. And once you've paused, you'll have a chance to fill in and give your thoughts. So scenario 1 is a new automotive plant has moved to town. The company will be hiring 450 employees. It is a tremendous boom to the town. The company hopes to have the plant open and fully functioning in 2 years. Which of the business ideas might be a good opportunity? You can choose more than one. So I want you to have a little bit of a discussion here. You're going to pause the video and you're going to tick off the boxes where you think that idea would be a good opportunity for this scenario. After you've had a chance to go through this, you can unpause the video and we will do scenario 2. So now you've had a chance to do scenario 1. Let's try one more. In scenario 2, real estate prices are rising and many people decided to move downtown closer to where they work. They will live in condos or high-rise apartments. More people will get to walk to work. By giving up their commute to work, people will have more leisure time to enjoy downtown. They hope there will be lots for them to do. Which of these business ideas would not be a business opportunity? And again, you can choose more than one. So you're going to put your selection next to the business ideas that you do not think would be a good opportunity. And remember, as I mentioned before, there are no right or wrong answers. It's good to talk this through because you might have some very good reasons for why you think something wouldn't be an opportunity or why it would. So please pause the video here, and when we come back, we'll move on to our next slide. Okay, where do customers come from? The first thing we identified is that a business, in order for it to thrive and succeed, it must serve a business need. The next thing it must do is attract customers. You have to have somebody buying your goods or services. Otherwise, you're not going to be in business for very long, are you? So let's talk a little bit more about where customers come from. Once you identify your idea and figure out if there is a need for your business, you have to have customers, as we mentioned. In the next activity that we're going to do, we're going to be talking about some strategies for finding customers. We're going to introduce the concept of the 4 P's: price, product, place, and promotion. So how could a place attract customers? If a business is located in a convenient place and is open at convenient times, or if it is easy to order online and have delivered to your door, then customers might be attracted to that business. Game consoles, tablets, and smartphones are designed so buying apps is really convenient. How could price attract customers to a business? If people think the price of products is low, they may come to the business. But if the price is too low or too high, customers might not come. So it is very important to establish a good price for your customers and to attract them. How could a product attract customers to a business? If a business carries a product that is unique, hard to find, or better quality, then customers might be attracted to a business. And lastly, how could promoting your business attract customers? If a business advertises, new customers might be more likely to hear about the business. I want you now to pause and think a little bit about some of the 4 P's. And think about how those 4 P's might be used to attract customers to a business. I'm now going to ask your teacher to go and find the customer scenario cards. You're going to be put into groups. You can have a maximum of 6 groups. And your teacher will hand out 1 customer scenario card to each group. On that customer scenario card, you're going to hear about some really interesting businesses. I think that you folks could probably start pretty soon. And you're going to come up with 3 ways that you're going to attract customers for that business. And you'll see on the bottom of page 2, there's some spots there. As a group, I'd like you to come up with 3 ways. Once your time is up, you're going to have 1 person read out the card for the class, and then another person will read out the 3 scenarios that your group came up with. And you'll have a lot of discussion. Now, remember, think about your customers. How old are they? Where do they like to spend a lot of their quality time? Where would they be getting most of their information from? In other words, are these people who would be reading a newspaper? Would they be looking at a billboard as they drive by? Or would they be on social media? Remember to keep all of those things in mind as you're developing or coming up with ideas to attract those customers to your business. All right, enjoy, have fun. Pause the video now, and then I will see you after, and we'll move on to our next section. So I'm hopeful that you had some really great ideas for attracting customers. Just to give you a little bit of background, when I was about 13 years old, I had a lawn mowing business. I know that's one of the customer scenario cards. And the way I attracted customers was my dad had a painting contracting business, and he approached some of these ladies on the street who were elderly. They were all by themselves, and they were not able to mow their lawns. And he would take me with him and go to the doors and say, I have this young lady who is willing to mow your lawn. And I had about 3, maybe even up to 4 customers for the different summers. And that was my first job, was mowing lawns. And I actually did very well. I made $20 a lawn. And back in that day, that was quite a bit of money. And so you can imagine these are some of the ways. Door to door is a very effective way of attracting customers. But once you have customers, you need to keep them. So we're going to watch a video here that's going to show us why it's important to keep customers.
I figured out my idea, and I know that there's a need for my business. but now I need more supplies. In order to keep customers coming back, we have to provide great customer service. This includes friendly staff, quality products, and a great overall experience for the company. Oh look, we're flying over a juice supply shop now. Let's check it out. Great, no lineup. Excuse me. Sir? Yeah, I was just wondering if I could buy a few supplies for my juice stand.
Yeah, what do you want?
Well, I'm looking for 2 bananas, 2 oranges, and a new mixer to make some juice. Are you able to help me out?
Well, we've got like blue and green. That's pretty much it.
I see that you don't have any supplies, but...
Yeah?
I'm looking for juice. Excuse me? Hello?
Yo, Ricky, what's up?
That was not a good customer experience for me. What do you think makes a great customer experience?
So you can see from that video how important it is to provide excellent customer service. That's actually one of my other jobs that I did is I worked in the Service Excellence program for the government, where we taught people how to give excellent service and why that's so important, as it maintains a very good atmosphere for clients as they're coming in. So I think it's really important that we remember when you're starting your own business, whether it's mowing lawns or shoveling snow, that you are agreeable, you are happy, and you make sure you do things on time. And remember, at that time, your customers are the most important people to your business succeeding now. So let's move on. We have one more thing that is essential for a business to thrive. Can anyone think of that, what that might be? If you said profit, you're right. So please turn to page 3. And at the top of page 3, you're going to see the definition of profit. What is it? Yes, well, profit is equal to income minus expenses. So income, as you can see at the very top, we're using the example of Philip's juice stand or lemonade stand. And as you can see, we have a sales ledger. And that sales ledger outlines how much was made every day at the lemonade stand. And so when we're trying to calculate profit, we need to first calculate the income. So I've started the sheet here for you. And what I'm going to ask you to do is, in a minute, you're going to pause the video and you're going to complete the rest of the income here using the figures from the sales ledger. And then you need to calculate what your expenses are. And that is what costs were incurred in order to keep your business running and to start your business. And again, I have begun that sheet right here with the disposable glasses of $19. But using the purchase receipt box that you see, you're going to input all of the expenses. Now, you'll notice that some expenses you will not necessarily incur every day. Every day you're going to be using so many disposable glasses and you'll have to replenish them. But I don't think every day you're going to be using a lemon press. So you might have some expenses once or twice throughout your summer, and you have others that you're going to need every time. And that's important as you go along in developing your business. To ensure your business is profitable, you need to think first of how much it will cost you to start. So I'm going to let you have a few minutes here to go ahead with your teacher, and you're going to put in all the income. You're going to add that up for a total income. You're going to put in all of your expenses, and you're going to add up your total expenses. And then down here, you're going to calculate your profit, whether you made a profit or not. For instance, if your expenses totaled more than your income, then you did not make a profit. All right, I'm going to move to the next slide and show you what it should look like. So here is an example of what it should look like. And you'll notice in the income that we had another way of making income despite our sales, and that was tips. So that's an additional source of revenue. And you can also see Thursday was not a great day, a little bit of rain there on Thursday, and that will happen. So when you are beginning a business, it's important to think through what could go wrong and how might I prepare for that. And then here we have the expenses. So we had a total income of $121, total expenses of $100. So we had a profit of $21. Fantastic. That's great. So now we have been able to see that the three things that we need for a business to thrive is we have to make sure that the business is meeting a need, that we have attracted customers, and that we are making a profit. All right, let's move to the next section, which is how do businesses benefit communities? And so we're going to talk a little bit here about how businesses can have a positive or a negative impact on their community. And we're going to ask you to be the judge. I'm going to share a couple of slides, and I'm going to ask you to turn over your pages, and you're going to see the You Be the Judge section. And as I read through a couple of these slides, you're going to make a decision whether or not these companies were creating a positive impact or a negative impact. Our first one is Tim Hortons. And so Tim Hortons, as you're going to see here, the Tim Hortons restaurant owners work with the local community to find children that meet the selection criteria to go to camp. These children attend either the summer residential camp or the winter residential camp program. The company aims to have thousands of economically disadvantaged children participate in Tim Hortons Children's Foundation camps and programs each year. All right, I'm going to ask you to pause the video here, and you're going to make some decisions on page 4 of whether or not Tim Hortons was a good, affected the community for positive or negative. Okay, now that you had a chance to decide, we're going to go to another one, cod fishery. Home to sharks, turtles, whales, and many fish, Atlantic Canada is one of the most spectacular marine environments in the world. For 500 years, Canada's fish stocks were legendary around the world. In the 1990s, all that changed. The giant fishing boats came from distant countries. Their huge nets took enormous amounts of fish. In an hour, they could take up to 200 tons of fish. Years of overfishing finally made the cod fishing industry collapse. More than an ecological catastrophe, the collapse also devastated the economy. Over 30,000 jobs were lost, and coastal communities that depend on fishery jobs were deeply affected. So again, I'd like you to, on page 5, you're going to see that you're going to talk about whether this is a positive impact or negative impact. Did it provide environmental support, community support, or employee support? I'll let you pause here and we'll come back with one more example. Okay, let's go to the last one here, and this is the TransAlta Corporation. TransAlta is committed to restoring land to a state that is equivalent or better than it was before the company started their mining activities there. The company has planted 1.5 million trees at its former Centralia mine. Okay, Here's where you're going to decide again, does the actions of this company, does it qualify as environmental support, community support, employee support, or is it a negative impact? Okay, great. Why don't we watch a video here? This is Philip's downtime video, and you're going to see and hear about a young lady who started a company and how it had an impact on her community.
Oh, hey there! A great way to learn more about business is to research and see what other people are doing. You just caught me while I've been trying to learn more about the Canadian business landscape.
Serve shortly.
Let's check out Maya's story.
I've been drawing ever since I could hold a crayon. And I've been making animated flipbooks since I was 3 years old. At that age, I also learned about what an animator was. There's a program on TV about jobs most kids don't know about. When I understood that an animator makes the cartoons I saw on TV, I immediately said, that's what I want to be. I don't know if I said it mentally or out loud, but that was a greatly defining moment in my life. Animation and art has always been my first love. It was my love for technology that sparked the idea for malicious dishes. There was a virus on my computer, and I was trying to get rid of it. And all of a sudden, I just thought, what if viruses have their own little world inside the computer? Maybe a restaurant where they meet up and do virusy things. And thus, Malicious Dishes was born. At 4 years old, my dad showed me how to take apart a computer and put it back together again. That started my love for technology. I built my first website myself in HTML, and I'm learning JavaScript and Python. I'm also working on an animated series called The Pollinators. It's about bees and other pollinators in our environment and why they're so important. If plants aren't pollinated by the pollinators, then all creatures, including ourselves that depend on these plants, would starve. So I decided to take these cool creatures and make a superhero team. The forest source! I should have known! I need to call on the rest of the pollinators. Thank you. All of my animations start with ideas. But what are ideas? Ideas can spark a movement. Ideas are opportunities and innovation. Ideas truly are what make the world go round. If it wasn't for ideas, we wouldn't be where we are now with technology, medicine, art, culture, and how we even live our lives. At 8 years old, I took my ideas and started my own business called Maya's Ideas and my nonprofit, Maya's Ideas for the Planet. And I make eco-friendly clothing and accessories. I'm 13 now, and although I started my business in 2008, my artistic journey started way before then. I was greatly influenced by art, and I wanted to incorporate it in everything I did, even my business. I would find different fabrics around the house and say, this could be a scarf or a hat, and I had all these ideas for designs. I noticed when I wore my creations, people would stop me and say, wow, that's really cute, where can I get one? And I thought, I can start my own business. Now, I didn't have any business plans until only 8 years old. I only knew I wanted to make pretty creations that were safe for the environment, and I wanted to give back. My mom taught me how to sew, and on my back porch, I would sit and make little headbands out of ribbon, and I'd write down the names and the prices of each item. I started making more items like hats, scarves, and bags. Soon my items began selling all over the world, and I have customers in Denmark, Italy, Australia, Canada, and more. Now, I had a lot to learn about my business, like branding and marketing, staying engaged with my customers, and seeing what sold the most and the least. Soon my business really started to take off. Then one day, Forbes magazine contacted me when I was 10 years old. They wanted to feature me and my company in their article. Now, a lot of people ask me, why is your business eco-friendly? I've had a passion for protecting the environment and its creatures since I was little. My parents taught me at an early age about giving back and being a good steward to the environment. I heard about how the dyes in some clothing or the process of even making the items was harmful to the people and the planet. So I started doing my own research, and I discovered that even after a dye has been completed, there is a wastage that gives a negative impact on the environment. For example, the grinding of materials or dumping of dried powder materials. These actions can pollute the air, making it toxic to anyone or anything that inhales it. So when I started my business, I knew two things. All of my items had to be eco-friendly, and 10 to 20% of the profits I made went to local and global charities and environmental organizations. I feel I'm part of the new wave of entrepreneurs that not only seeks to have a successful business, but also a sustainable future. I feel that I can meet the needs of my customers without compromising the ability of future generations to live in a greener tomorrow. We live in a big, diverse, and beautiful world, and that makes me even more passionate to save it. But it's never enough to just gear through your heads about the things that are happening in our world. It takes you to gear through your hearts. Because when you gear through your heart, that is when movements are sparked. That is when opportunities and innovation are created. And that is when ideas come to life. Thank you, and peace, and blessings.
So I hope you enjoyed that video. And I think what is important to take away from that is that all businesses start with great ideas. And most of the time, those ideas are going to benefit the community. There is the opportunity that the business might have a negative impact. So it is important to recognize that. And if you were to start a business, to find ways to either eliminate those problems or start a different business. But most often businesses, as this young lady mentioned, give back. And most give back a 10% percentage of their profits, and sometimes even more. So that is an important thing to think about when you're starting your own business and how you might want to contribute back. So let's play a game called Business Benefits Bonanza. Your teacher is going to find all of the game pieces and the game board in the kit. And there should be enough for 6 different groups to find a place at desks or on the floor. And the objective of this game is to collect as many business benefits or BB cards to be the winner. And so you're going to be traveling around the board and landing on squares. And I'm just going to move to the rules here so everybody can see them. And I'm going to ask your teacher to pause this screen in a minute here so that you can see how you're to play the game. And so to earn a BB card, you must land on a BB square, and the player next to you will read out the question. If you answer that question correctly, then you get to keep the BB card, and you want to get as many of those as possible. Oftentimes when I play this game in the classroom, I usually let everyone start with 1 BB card, but that is completely optional. And also keep in mind, whenever you're passing the go square, each player, the person passing the go square, gets to take 1 card from one player and 1 card from another player. So that is an advantage also as to getting around the board quickly. Okay, so I'm going to get you to pause here, and you'll have some time to play this game and hopefully have a lot of fun and learn a lot about how businesses benefit communities. Well, I hope you had a lot of fun playing the Business Benefits Bonanza. So now we're going to talk about, why do businesses change? First of all, do you know what it means when we say diverse? Yes, it means a variety of different things that come together. Did you know Canada is very diverse? Well, I'm sure you did. I'm sure you know that just from being in your class, being in your city. So Canadian business landscape is also very diverse. It's home to many different businesses. I'm wondering if someone in your class can name a Canadian business. I'll give you a couple of minutes to see if you can name one. Great. So it's hard though sometimes to know whether a business is Canadian or if it's from another country. A lot of businesses in Canada that we're very familiar with, like McDonald's, is not a Canadian company. That's an American company, but it's a franchise. So that means there are local owners to those businesses. But there are different businesses across Canada, and they're often reflective of the actual landscape, geography, whether they're close proximity to the ocean or whether they're in the prairies, which full of rich nutrients in the soil, or whether they are near a big city like Toronto, Montreal. So there's a lot of businesses that are reflective of their actual environment. I'm going to ask everyone now to turn to page 7 of your workbooks. And we are going to do the Made in Canada exercise. So if you look on page 7, you should see a table. And at the bottom in the green box are all the answers. So I'm going to ask your teacher to pause this video here for a few minutes. You're going to be able to see the logos on the right-hand side. Now, often the logos, which as you probably are aware, are reflective of what the business does. And they are going to give you a lot of clues as to the remaining answers in terms of what province or what is the product or service. And so what we're going to ask you to do is take a few minutes, try and fill in as many squares as you can. And then when you come back from pausing this video, I'm going to give you the answers. Great. All right. Let's see if we can see what the answers are. I'm going to post those up here, and hopefully you can take a few minutes and fill them in if you didn't have them all correctly. Now, I'm wondering if everybody guessed potash core in Saskatchewan, and that's potash for fertilizer. I'm not sure if you're aware that potash is one of the most valued nutrients for farming. So it is needed around the world. And Saskatchewan has some of the largest deposits of potash in the world. So that's kind of exciting and kind of neat to know. There are some other companies there. And as we talked about, they're often reflective of the area that they're in. For instance, Nova Scotia. Well, yes, Nova Scotia is on the Atlantic Ocean. So fish products makes a lot of sense. And stretchy workout clothes, Lululemon, started in Vancouver, which is also very close to Los Angeles. And a lot of people work both in Los Angeles, especially from my background in film and television, will work between those two cities. Vancouver does a lot of film and television production, and the actors and crews will often be going through both of those communities. So that makes a lot of sense that sort of those type of clothing would be started in that area. And of course, gas in Alberta makes sense as well. As you've probably heard, the oil reserves in Alberta are incredibly large. So hopefully you had some fun filling that in, and feel free to pause this video if you need to and get all the answers in your booklets. Now we're going to move on, and we're going to talk about Philip's new business idea. And this will relate a little bit to why businesses change. So I'm going to ask you to watch the video, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about why businesses change.
Hey, since my business is a physical location, how could I use technology to get more orders? Wouldn't it be great if you could place an order for juice on the Philip's Juice app and it'd be ready for pickup when you got here? Businesses are always thinking of new ways to better their customer experience using new technologies. What are some ways you think that you use technology when interacting with the companies you, your friends, and your family buy from? I'm Philip the Phone, and these were my business adventures. Bye for now.
So after you watch that video, I have a few questions for you. What was Philip hoping to do? Yes, give customers more options for ordering juice. What is the business need? Well, if people are expecting to be at the park, they might want their juice to be ready when they arrive, so they don't have to wait in line or wait for their order to be prepared once they are at the juice stand. Likewise, they may want to pay in advance through technology rather than with cash. Where will the new customers come from? Well, when a company offers more ordering and payment option, it is likely that their products will appeal to a larger group of customers. In this case, people who appreciate the convenience of online ordering. We say a business ideas like Philip's digital ordering system is high tech. Did high-tech businesses always exist in Canada, and why or why not? No, because we didn't have the knowledge, but now we have advanced technology that can do amazing things. And I'm going to give you an example actually of one Saskatchewan company that you might have heard of, and that is Skip the Dishes. Has anyone heard of Skip the Dishes? Well, I don't know if many of you know the story, but apparently Skip the Dishes was started by two brothers who were tired of always ordering in pizza, and they'd have to go and always get pizza. And they thought, what if we could just order from any restaurant? And they were lazy, and it's their words. And so this is where they came up with the idea of creating the app Skip the Dishes, which now has turned into a huge app and is very successful. So that's kind of what they were trying to meet a need, and they used technology to help them meet the need. As time goes on, businesses change, and they have to. Otherwise, if they're not evolving and changing with times, they may not survive, and often don't. So we're going to talk a little bit about businesses that no longer exist. So I'm going to show you some slides here, and we're going to go through some quirky, very funny, in fact, some of these I didn't even know, businesses that no longer exist. All right, here are the businesses that no longer exist. Lamplighter business. Streets used to be lit by gas lamps. Lamplighters used long ladders to reach the lamps and then used a long brass staff to light all the street lamps. In the morning, when the sun came up, the lamplighter would walk his route again. This time, he would put out each flame. Here's another one, ice cutter business. Long ago, an ice box was used to keep food cold. However, you couldn't just buy ice at any store. Ice blocks were cut from frozen lakes and rivers. In the summer, ice came from the frozen north and was delivered by horse and cart to people's homes. In fact, that is how my father explained how he used to get, how they used to keep all of their things cold in the summer when he was a little boy. Telephone switchboard business. And this isn't that long ago, kids. I remember calling the switchboard when I was around your age. So being a switchboard operator used to be a very important job. These people connected every single phone call by connecting one wire to another wire so people could have a telephone conversation. This was all done by hand. Let's go next slide. Encyclopedia business. Now, I remember as a young girl, the encyclopedia business that used to come door to door. So sets of encyclopedias used to cost hundreds of dollars, and you couldn't buy them in the store. Parents bought encyclopedia sets for their children. These books were sold by salesmen who traveled from door to door. Each month for several years, parents would send a check in the mail to the salesman's company to pay for these books. Now, if you think about it, we don't need encyclopedias, do we? We can look online, and where is that place we go to? Google, right? We can Google or Wikipedia, where we can access quite a bit of information. So as you can see, technology created a lot of change. Milk delivery business. Before there were refrigerators, people had no way of keeping milk from spoiling. Milkmen would deliver bottles of milk to people's homes each day. Most people had a cupboard in the side of their homes. The milkman would take out empty bottles and the coins and leave the full bottles of milk. Milkmen usually traveled by horse and wagon up and down the streets of the town or city. So in Canada, we didn't have milk delivery, to my knowledge, in the last 40 or so years. But when I lived in London, England for 1 year as a 9-year-old, we would receive milk on our doorsteps every single morning. So that's not that long ago. Human alarm clocks. Early in the morning, these people would walk around town with long sticks, tapping on people's windows, throwing pebbles, and shouting at the top of their lungs. Why? It was their job to make sure people were up on time for work. I'm not sure I'd want to have that job. I'm not necessarily a morning person. I don't know what you think, but maybe you would enjoy that job. So is there a business that you can think of that will no longer exist in the year 2040? And if so, why? I'll give you a few minutes to think that through, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about how businesses change. So now we're going to chat about some Canadian businesses and what their story is. Your teacher will have some cards in the kit with different Canadian businesses. I'm going to read through one with you and ask you a few questions, but there is an option to do more if that is preferable. So we're going to just talk about how that business changed. Before we go through that Canadian business, here are some of the questions I'd like you to think about. What is the name of this Canadian business? What does it do? How old is this business? How has this business changed over time? Why did the business change? And what benefits has this company brought to the community? And lastly, how do you think this company will be different in 100 years? So there is a few questions for you to think through. And let's go with this story here. This is James Richardson and Sons. James Richardson was a tailor. And for those of you who may not be aware, a tailor is someone who either makes clothes or repairs clothes. Sometimes people paid him in grain instead of cash. James saw an opportunity. He decided to trade the grain for cash. James began his grain business in 1857. In 1860, James bought a wharf and warehouse on the waterfront in Kingston, Ontario. By 1913, the company had grain elevators across the West. The company had a real pioneering spirit. It tried many new things. In 1925, it began broadcasting on the radio to tell farmers the latest news, weather, and stock prices. Then it created the largest air transport company in Canada. Later, it built the first commercial natural gas pipeline in Canada's north. The company also created an investment company called Richardson Securities. The firm was the first to trade Canadian grain overseas. In 2010, it built a canola processing plant in Saskatchewan. This innovative company is a real Canadian success story. So again, I'd like you to think through some of those questions that I posed to you at the beginning. I'll give you a little bit of a chance to discuss that with your teacher. But what I really love about this story is just, I like so many things about it. First of all, that James Richardson started out as a very small one-person operation, and he was mending clothes. But he saw an opportunity, and that is the real success of many businesses is that they recognize the opportunity and they know right away that there's a need. So the opportunity is people are paying him in grain instead of cash. And so he's realizing like how he could trade and grow here. No one else might have been doing that or was doing it well. And so he realized there was a need and opportunity because this wasn't being done. The other thing I like about it is that they tried so many different things. So they tried broadcasting and they tried transportation and gas and trading grain. So it's very neat to see all the ways that this business kept changing and modifying and going with technology in some cases and benefiting their community. Well, I think building a wharf in Kingston is a really good thing to benefit the community because other people would have needed that as well. So have a little bit of a discussion there with your teacher and pause this video, and then we'll come back to talk a little bit more. So I hope you enjoyed having that discussion. And so now we're going to do our last section, which is could I be, I being you, could you be an entrepreneur? And so we're going to focus on creating businesses out of innovative ideas and considering how some inventions are innovations and also what is a startup. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of those things. And remember that some of the attitudes of these Canadian businesses that you just talked about is key to the success of a business. And so remembering to keep that attitude of never giving up, keeping positive, and remembering even when you fail, you're learning something that will help you succeed again. So let's talk about innovation. What is innovation? Innovation is an invention that is making a positive difference in people's lives. Let's talk a little bit more about that now. We're going to talk about what do innovative entrepreneurs do? Well, entrepreneurs think big. Entrepreneurs adapt. Entrepreneurs recognize opportunity. Entrepreneurs work hard. Entrepreneurs use technology. Entrepreneurs invent. Entrepreneurs are pioneers. Entrepreneurs collaborate. Entrepreneurs believe in their ideas. Entrepreneurs don't give up. Entrepreneurs lead. Entrepreneurs are optimistic. Entrepreneurs aren't afraid to try. So I want to ask you, do you think the kids in the video were innovative? And if so, how were they innovative? What does it mean to be innovative? So I'd like you to think through a little bit of those, and then we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about innovation and creating some business ideas. All right, so I'd like everybody to turn in their workbooks to page 9. And on page 9, you're going to see a chart that says innovation, and you're going to see electric light, insulin, cell phones, paper money, and then lastly, my idea. So for the inventions that you see, I'd like you to write beside them whether that invention was an innovation. And then how do you know? And they've already done the first one for you as an example. So you're going to take a couple of minutes to do that. Now, when you come to my idea, what I'd like you to do is this. I would like you to invent something, and you're going to use an empty aluminum can. And you can use this can in any manner. It just cannot hold food. So you can use it as something that's educational, something that is technology, transportation, musical, decoration, any idea you can think of. So I'd like you to come up with as many ideas as you can for the aluminum can. And then we're going to share those ideas. So your teacher is going to want to pause the video here, and you're going to share those ideas with the class, maybe a couple here and there, and see how many you came up with and whether those ideas were innovative. So pause the video here, and I'll see you again shortly. I'm sure you came up with a ton of creative ideas. When did you think of your most creative idea? Was it right away or was it after a few minutes? Researchers tell us that we have to get rid of the clutter in our brains and get it swept away so that we can really think creatively. A little bit like an egg, that it has to be kept warm, safe, and protective. And that's what innovative ideas need to be incubated as well. They sometimes need to be thought through, and it's a bit fragile. And so it's oftentimes a young entrepreneur, someone who's starting up, will have a mentor, someone that takes them underneath their wing and kind of guides them through the steps to starting up their business. And this can take some time. So I would encourage you young people, if you have come up with an idea, either from your aluminum can or from the other scenario cards that we had earlier, you're going to also want to have someone mentor you, whether that's a family friend or parents or someone that you really respect to help guide you through starting your business. So when you're going to start your business, it's called a startup. And we're going to talk about what is a startup. And that the very word seems to be a little bit self-explanatory, that it's when you are ready to start a business and you're ready to try and launch it. So which of these creatures here do you think is most like a startup? Is it the mosquito? Is it the bear? Or is it the crab? It's the mosquito. And here's why. Startups aren't focused on defending themselves like a mosquito. They're all about taking a bite, trying to get in there and start up and get a bit of the business. They don't spend energy on defense, so they're small, quick, and eager to feed, so they're trying to act really quickly. And their only defense is that there is a lot of them. So I would like you to think about your own startup idea. And this is where we're coming to the end of our program. You can use either one of your ideas from your aluminum can, one of the ideas from the scenario card, as we mentioned here a couple of times, or something unique, something to you. Before you start, I want you to think about what are some of your favorite things to do when you have free time. What are some of your favorite things that you like to do? I know I have a 12-year-old son, and his favorite thing to do is play video games. And so what he started to do was started video editing. And then he created himself a little website, I shouldn't say website, a YouTube channel of these videos that he'd been doing. And he's really taught himself quite a lot. And he's managed to get himself about 300 followers. So it's something fun. It's something that he likes to do. And then he started to sell Roblox, his ideas for Robux, I guess it's called. And so this is one way you can use something that is a pastime to create a small business. Oftentimes, people who have started very successful businesses have found themselves interested in a particular area. And that is what has inspired them to start off their business thinking someone else might really like this. Or how can I use what I'm interested in to actually create a business. For instance, if you're interested in sports, well, you could start up your own little clinic where you're teaching little kids, say, soccer or hockey, that kind of thing. Or reading. Maybe you love to read. Well, maybe you could start a business offering to teach younger kids to read, or you could offer to be someone who edits and reads through people's material before they publish. So those are a few little suggestions. I really hope you had a lot of fun, and I really look forward to hearing about your business. I'm sure I'm going to see some of you in the future. So thank you once again for having me, and I really enjoyed my time with you today. Take care, and hopefully I'll see you soon.